the founders will give you a little backstory on why they have built it, and then we'll dig in how you can use it as a coach. And we're curious to hear your feedback and thoughts. So like an interactive workshop. And so I guess I'll pass the word to my friend Evan Gobdell, the co-founder of Tology. Maybe Evan, you give a little intro about yourself and why you have built Tology to kick it off.
Yeah, would love to, and would be brief. As David mentioned, would much prefer a conversation to a monologue, so I'll try to honor that. My background, most recently professionally for the last dozen plus years, has been building a few small businesses. And when this large language model revolution happened, we collectively as a management team just said, this is a big deal. We got to do something. We got to get in the game versus staying on the sidelines. How can we use this? How can we develop something? So first two applications very quickly. One was sort of centralized knowledge base. Let's get everything that we never knew where it was all in one place, access it with a chatbot. The other was more related to training, both in access to technical information, but also we're developing some interactive modules for how people can have conversational training, as opposed to here's a 90-minute video, watch it, take a quiz, you're trained. How we can do that at scale where someone would have a dynamic questioning bot, have some additional functionality to tutor, to interact with. And so we're in the process of building that now. But that urge to just, we see the power of this, we want to create, then led to my meeting Mehmet and then creating Tology as it stands. And then the partnership with upcoach just made a ton of sense from there. I think we can get into that in more detail. So I'd be happy to answer more questions around what we've done, what we've used, or where we're going with it, and mostly catered to what's relevant to all of you as coaches.
For context, I think it would make sense if maybe Mehmet or you can show how it works, how you get the information into Tology, and then how it works inside of upcoach. The first way how I used it, I pulled in content. So you can upload content. You can upload your content. It's basically ChatGPT sitting on top of your content. And I pulled in my website content, my blog posts, and a bunch of stuff. And then I gave it to my virtual assistant to write content for my social media. So basically outsourcing this. And it worked pretty phenomenally that she was able to generate things in my tone of voice and stuff that I would talk about. Was actually a huge burden off my shoulders. So one use case, but I think, if Mehmet or Evan, if you want to share your screen and kind of walk through Tology and show that.
Yeah, Mehmet, I've got one teed up. I can do the super quick basics. And then Mehmet, I'd like to hand to you for some of the integration, because I'm using it as Tology on its own. Not exactly what you all currently have available, but you'll see a lot of similarities. So I think I can do this in 90 seconds or less, if you will bear with me through that. If you can't see my screen, please raise a hand or holler. Otherwise, I'll give a few seconds. I see it. Everybody's good? Okay, so this is an example. You come into Tology. These are all my different bots. This one I created this morning is actually for a friend who has a leadership development program. And we uploaded, I think it was over an hour of his presentation, his workshop, and then the PowerPoint with his presentation notes and all the background into one bot, just as here's one workshop, one bot, narrow focus on just that, and then was able to chat with it. So the way to do that would be uploading data. In this case, I had these 3 audio files from his work, added some documents, in a PDF, Word document. changed the prompt. So it was very specifically, you will respond based on the given content. If you can't answer, say, sorry, you can't. And then a little inside joke to say that, he's the master of all things emotional intelligence. And then I attached just the relevant information. So I think this is a key point, that I have a bunch of stuff loaded in here, but for this bot, I only wanted the 5 relevant documents, 1 PDF of his PowerPoints, and then these 4 audio files that our system, Tology, processed that from audio to a text transcription and allows that to feed into the bot. And then from there, chat away. So I've just started asking questions. Please summarize the content. I checked with what's up with the Bears this year. It didn't have an answer for me. But when I mentioned, what's the most important nuance of centeredness, how does emotional intelligence impact achievement, it was able to pull from that content and provide answers. So for this was a very simple demo of just that information retrieval, getting a lot of information at your fingertips with instant response. One thing we've played around with in some of the prompting is, here's an example of a writing style analyzer to think through how we can put things in your tone of voice, or another prompt for, how we can have a conversational bot with, I don't want it to just give me information. I want it to engage with my client, ask some clarifying questions, sympathize with their problem, make sure I really understand where they are. And then I could guide them to some resources, or I could guide them to a conversation. All of that kind of, either your tone, your behavior, your process, your workflow can all be programmed in through some of the prompting as well. So I don't know that I got 90 seconds. That probably, hopefully wasn't more than a couple minutes, but I wanted to give you a crash course of what this does, maybe with a hint of, things that I think might be particularly relevant to this crowd. David, how'd I do?
I think it is great. I didn't take the time, but it was a great overview.
Not a competition, just trying to be disciplined. Thank you.
Ted asked, where can we have access to this, or when can we have access to this?
So if you want, I can also show things from the upcoach perspective as well, because I want to just show the Tology product, but in the integration, we kind of a little bit minified it, not to confuse people. So let me show you, like, everything is the same actually, but the difference here is, like, when you add the add-on, when you come to settings here, you don't need to log in, etc. So there is like a special rendered version of Tology where some of things are just excluded, and you can create more votes, etc. But it's basically the same. So you can again attach data, so the bot is ready for you. So you can add any type of data, unlimited amount. So I have something in Turkish, for example. You can also check, which is about like agile development. So that's also great. So I attached the Turkish content here, and then I came here, for example, after I finish my settings, I come to programs. Let's go to this one. And then when I go to the editor, you can see like Tology AI chatbot here. So when I just pull it here, so it's directly connected to the same chatbot, right, which is on the website. And so you can, like, because there is only single chatbot, what we have taught, probably you will not just, you don't want to train like many chatbots or like make more complex stuff. So we said, okay, let's have a single chatbot for ease of use. And you upload some content, you optimize the prompt, and you make some settings on it. So in any program, you pull this bot, so you pull the Tology AI add-on. It's connected to the same bot, basically, so that you don't need to retrain it. So this one, like, I also asked what's agile. So the content was in Turkish, but it's smart enough to understand English and convert it. You can even ask like, you can upload the German content and ask English questions as well. And also there is the follow-up function here. Like for example, convert this into a tweet. Oh, there's like a typo, but it can also understand.
It's still
this.
understood.
Yeah. There are much. So the thing is, let's say you just share this with your clients, and you come here and you say like, take a look at your users' conversations. You can also see like what's the last interaction time and what they're talking about. And then let's say someone is asking something that's just very hard to find in a PDF document, or that's like a knowledge that's specific to you. You can come here and you can say, for example, you can just kind of create content as well. You can say, if someone's asking like, what's the capital of, let's say, Germany, you can say, for example, it's Berlin. And then when you save it, you can also think like much more complex questions. And then when you come back to your chatbot, you can also come and attach this one. So next time when someone asks this question, it will override whatever the data you have, and then it will just answer with your like special stuff. So you like by just monitoring your users' conversations, probably you can understand like, I mean, when they have a private conversation with an AI tool, I think people just asking like, this is what we are uploading in big Tology, like people asking stuff that they don't usually ask face to face, because it's kind of private conversation to them. So we are also trying to improve the product by reading the conversation history. So it's like a quick intro. How did I do, David?
He did good. I have a few questions. Like Dan asked, like how do you train it? And James already answered about uploading your content, basically, right? This is the training.
Can I jump on?
Yeah,
I jump in on that though?
Sure.
I think one thing we're trying to help people with is understanding different terminology around AI. So yeah, I think that James answered this very well. Of the data upload is text, audio, video, whatever you've got. The training piece would include that. Whatever you put it in what I'd call a knowledge base. If you're thinking about training of where you would give it that personality, your personality, that could be a combination of, if you've got a file that says, here's who I am, here's my philosophy, here's my tone of voice, here's my process, that could be a data file. That could also be through the prompting, where you can train the bot's behavior around, how you want it to respond to queries. And that's a separate, I think a separate channel to train it. So that idea of data upload versus prompt engineering, the typical term, it has both of those functionalities. You can kind of play with the overlap. As Amanda just said, if you see a regular frequently asked question, you can create another document, put that in the knowledge base, or you can have it sort of at the filter level. So we can get into that in more detail. I thought it was a good question, a common question. So I wanted to expand a little bit on that.
So let me show you also a little bit more complex bots that I trained before. I think that will clarify more like this prompt optimization and everything and what you can do with it. So I'm switching back to my Tology because I didn't upload that much data there. So for example, there's a like startup guy, probably many of you know, like Paul Graham. He's kind of a legendary person in the field, and whatever he wrote in his blog is great, highly influential. So what I did, I pulled his 270 blog posts from his website. You can do it by coming here and then importing the sitemap, and then you can just pull all of them selectively, or also you can add one by one. So, and I attached all this data to Paul Graham chatbot. And then in addition to that, it's like so much. It's here, like love, lies, laundry, everything. Everything he just wrote since 1998. Plus, I just found he wrote a book back in the day about like paintings and computers, etc. I also attached this one. And then I came here, I optimized this like your name is Paul Graham AI. You will respond by using the given content. Start your response like it's PG's AI version, I think, whatever. So there's like some optimization here, like some creativity. This creativity is about like coming up with like different word choices, etc. And then, for example, the questions you can ask, let me just, for example, like anything about startups, like when should a startup raise money, for example. I am just making up this question. I don't know but it says like it's when they are ready to grow, blah blah blah. They're all great answers, and you can see like sources, whatever. So you didn't see sources in the upcoach site because we didn't want to confuse people. Also show your clients like where your like data sources are coming. But once you log in from the settings button to Tology, you can also test your bot here and then see which sources are pulled and what's going on. So you can say like expand this, explain this to me like I am a 5-year-old. Right. So because I know like there is so much data inside, it's just directly found like fundraising, whatever.
If you're 5-year-old, you should not raise funds.
Yeah. So what I'm also doing, for example, I will show you another stuff. I have another tweet bot, right? So this tweet bot has like data from different books, Guide to Entrepreneurship, Arts of Start, 10% Entrepreneur, blah blah, 0 to 1. There are some stuff here I'm using to grow my Twitter, and I already grew my Twitter in the last 2 weeks by 20% with this. So what I just said here, your job like is to take a deep breath and create 4 new tweets. And then like you need to come up with an opposing tweet, different perspectives, similarity, creativity, whatever. So what I'm coming here and saying, for example,
The wrong bot.
Wrong bot.
Yeah.
That's in the hackers bot. I'm also stealing data from them. Yeah, for example, here. This was like a tweet, for example, that got good amount of impression from someone else. And I just put it here, and there's an opposing idea, there's a different perspective and similarity. What I'm doing, I mean, if one of them is good, I'm just replying to the guy with this, right? So you can just like it's precious. Like, I mean, if I'm just thinking about this, if I want to write a tweet that can maybe have more wisdom inside, right? There is the opposing idea, there's a different perspective, like similarity, and there is also the creativity part, right? So it's just putting emojis, whatever. All these like settings are actually coming from the prompt itself. So the prompts are like crazy powerful. So if you look at here, you can see don't use hashtags, use emojis when they are meaningful, always maintain character, etc. So prompting needs a little bit kind of education, let's say, but you can just click here. This is same for the upcoach bots as well. You can get some inspiration from our like a library. You can filter by tags here as well. And if you discover any good prompt, please let us know so we can promote it to our public prompt library so that everyone can benefit from it. Yep.
Thank you. One question was, what are the legal implications? Well, with IP, James says for these books, for example. I mean, this is not legal advice. Nobody here is a lawyer, or I'm not a lawyer. I think Evan and Mehmet are also not lawyers. But any thoughts on this?
Yeah, we've talked about it, and our view is, we actually think we have a simpler puzzle to solve than some of these public chatbots, because we can direct these bots to just the knowledge base that we're uploading. So we don't have the concern of, oh my God, what corner of the internet did this thing scrape at some point? Are we liable for that? In this case, the ability to control it to your knowledge base is airtight. What you do with that again, not a lawyer, but I think that would be that's on you. Let common sense be your guide. Obviously, and Mehmet's one example of consolidating publicly listed information, somebody else's blog post. I think as long as there's appropriate attribution, which there is in this case, that would pass my initial screen. Hosting a book, if you acquire the rights to that appropriately, great. Some of the things we've done, admittedly, buy our own book, use it for internal purposes. Turning somebody else's book into your tweet machine, probably not a great business case, but has been fun for us just as an exercise. So I think that would be my, how we're thinking through this answer. I'd certainly welcome, more discussion, or I think, ultimately, if this was something that you were going to do truly as the face of your business, that probably is get more expertise than we can provide.
Yes, I guess also Google and ChatGPT, there's like so much knowledge in there, like that has been scraped, so it's, I don't know, but it's definitely a good question.
But also from upcoach perspective, as a coach, the main use case is, as a coach, you uploading your own content so that you extend your availability to your clients. For example, for David's Managing Happiness program, he would upload his podcasts, his own podcasts, his own blog content, and then some information about his North Star document, the Maui habit, and all the other things that are mentioned in his own course. So basically, the copyright is on him, right? Of course, you're not limited by this, but this is the main use case. So it's kind of
in
like
the future, we also want to have a deep integration to upcoach. For example, you can say this bot accesses these 3 courses that you have in there, or these, or maybe access the forum that you have. So that's kind of the idea. And Martin's question, does Tology always attribute? I guess if for you in the backend, you see where the information was pulled from.
Also, if you add the prompt, like add name of your source, we also designed it like that. It always returns the source of knowledge. So the bot awares what source and content means. So if you just, let's say, when you are talking to it, if you just see a weird response is coming up, that may happen time to time, especially if your creativity is too high. If you ask him as a follow-up question, what's your source about this? And it will just tell you the name of the book or the link, whatever. And sometimes it will just make up completely. But like, it can always tell you source if you want.
Few questions, you may have answered this, but the data that I upload into my environment being used outside of the system in any way, another way, or from a confidentiality perspective, is the data I upload still confidential within my organization?
I think we've got 2 questions on upload or on interaction. And certainly the upload is safe and private. Now we can talk security details. On the interaction, Mehmet, maybe you can cover that as well, on the idea of, this is there is an API to OpenAI, but through that API access, there is no sharing, there is no learning by any of the outside software. So Mehmet, if you want to expand on that.
That's definitely. So we are just securing your data in the AWS servers, encrypted. But also to be able to process your data, we are splitting into what we call chunks. Let's say 250 words or 500 words, a little bit like cryptic presentation of your data, let's say. So normally when Tology is just, when you are using Tology, no one can see your data, first of all. But unless if you just tell us like, I have a big problem, you need to go and check my data, even at that condition, our developers, which is only me right now, if I log into the database, if I just try to find your material to understand what's going on, I can only see some cryptic parts of it, which doesn't mean a lot of things. But outside of this, your data is not visible to anyone, basically. So when sending to OpenAI, we have like a private communication with OpenAI in a different package, and then we
I think
only
maybe
send.
that's too much for people
Sorry,
with glasses like this.
sorry,
Also,
guys.
it's too yeah, I think
Some evidence that we've thought through it. Yeah, when we thought through it, we could definitely handle questions online, but yes, security was a consideration, absolutely.
And then we haven't built it yet, but it's coming. That it's like easier to get all the upcoach content inside of the bot. All right, maybe wish list for on my end, if I could bring this up, something that I would love for my, and maybe we can kind of transition into how you guys want to use this, or which use cases you can see inside of your coaching business, or what you'd like to see, so we can also learn and give some feedback back to Tology. What I would love to have, I have a ChatGPT script that helps people to come up with their core values. It asks them for a bunch of books, some script, so it kind of goes through a bunch of questions, and then at the end it spits out a draft of their core values. And I'd love to, right now I'm just like giving them the ChatGPT link, and then they can do this in their own ChatGPT instance. I'd love to have like a button in there, like kind of like a prompt that I pre-write, so people can just like click this button and then this thingy starts. Is this something we currently have, or is this doable? And I hope this makes sense.
David, let me make sure I get what you're saying of just having just a bot set up, so it's just a hit the button for someone else.
So maybe it could also be, let me show you what I'm currently doing. I'm currently having.
In the meantime, I just want to add something very small. So I presented you like program and tweet, whatever bots. These are like experimental stuff for us to understand what we can do. But with your original content, this product shines. I mean, because we also tried different stuff with original content. Like you can pass any AI detector or plagiarism checker. We also tried it. It's giving like most of the time more than 90% human written score.
Thank you. So what I'm doing is I have this prompt basically, and I send people this link here, and then they can just do their own conversation. And so how I could see this, that maybe above the chatbot, the Tology chatbot, there's like a few buttons, like kind of pre-written prompts that people then can trigger. If this makes sense.
Okay,
so
that's where I thought you were going. I wanted to do it. And I want to be clear on, we have, Tology, external Tology embedded in upcoach. That doesn't exist in upcoach now. We do essentially have the functionality, and we've created something called public sharing in Tology, where you create a bot, you control everything on the back end. It generates a QR code and a link you can give to anyone, and then all they see is the interface.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an individual discrete hosted site. And all they would get is, hey, let me help you develop your core values. And boom, here's the first question. And then it would iterate through that. So obviously, what we do with that, we could turn that into a button to embed on your site.
Yes.
We could turn that into.
Yeah, I could like have it in the courses,
custom.
At a certain point in my course, then this could come and they can kind of like do it inside of there. I think this would be.
Yeah, so that functionality is already built through Tology. Also, with the click of another button, it'll instantly give you a script. If you have your own external web page, one import of that script, boom, you could put your bot on a page of your website. If you wanted to host that, customize it, make your own button, create, you could have a page of 6 buttons, for this kind of thing, go here, this bot, boom, boom, boom. You could curate kind of your own catalog of bots. Mm-hmm. We make it instantaneous for you to do that output for external uses.
Beautiful. Maybe somebody also wants to, you don't have to necessarily only write. If somebody wants to talk about the use case, you can kind of raise your hand, and then we can do this.
I get a question if I can.
Yeah, sure.
To tap into what you were saying. So I'm wondering whether we can have a sequence of 3 or 4 questions that then leads to the data output. Maybe I didn't hear it correctly, but I'm just wondering, can we use a sequence of questions and then that spits out the response that's required?
It takes a little bit of work and know-how, and that would be maybe Dan will nominate you for another webinar to do like a practical walkthrough. But that is one of the cool features, just sort of as David showed, you prompt it with, hey, your job is to ask this, get an answer, ask that, boom, 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 and then
and wait until you, for my thinking, I have like ask these things, but don't spit out the answer. Keep on asking, and then like once you've collected everything, then
so
tell people.
Yes, absolutely. It takes a little bit of thought through how you want that to work. But yeah, the capability to do that is there.
I think this is a perfect idea for the second block from Tology app on upcoach. Yeah.
I got a perfect idea for it. So
yeah,
no, I mean, we want to turn this like into a series of webinars. So maybe on the next one, Dan, if you want, can join, and we can kind of like build that for you together with you.
Okay, I'll start collecting data.
That's awesome.
One other thing I'll just mention, because I have airtime here, is I already have it set up so it's automated. Like when people book a call, they get a zap and they automatically get a login to upcoach, and then they go to an overview of my program. So I'm going to use this for helping people answer their own questions. So just to give you an idea of how I would use it. Yeah, I think it's genius. So it just makes it so much easier. Then I avoid lots of questions on the next call, or maybe I avoid a call altogether. Yeah.
Actually, this is fantastic. Exactly. And David, I was recently in David's latest Managing Happiness cohort, and I was having an issue differentiating between tactics, goals, and tasks. And I was asking questions to David, right? But those are basically the questions I can also ask to the chatbot. Those are perfect candidate questions for this exact scenario. So just, providing your coaching program content, your coaching material to this Tology AI.
This would be actually crazy if, for example, in my North Star document, which is a pretty long document where people figure out their mission, vision, values, etc., and next to each field, we could have like a Tology button where you're like, okay, what is this? Explain me what this is, and then could kind of go into that. So it's like almost like self-service.
Yeah, and also or talk with your North Star document.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you talk with your own North Star document. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really amazing, actually, because the North Star document, people figure out their mission, vision, values, and goals, and this could be like the perfect filter of like, tell me what I should work on next week, or I'm planning to do X, Y, Z. Is this in line with my mission, vision, values? Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
I think like one of the use cases I heard from someone like important in the startup space is using such products to come up with counter arguments, because normally we don't just think about counter arguments. So he's putting his ideas like a North Star document or whatever, and then he's saying, just find me a counter argument about this subject or this thing that I'm mentioning, so that he improves his like thinking and improving himself so much with that. I think that's very hard to do without an AI chatbot, to be honest.
Now that's something, just to tease it. Mehmet, David, and I have all had this discussion at various levels, but the creative acceleration for me personally in my writing, in content creation, developing programs, having that ability to have somebody to talk it through with, essentially, has just been transformative. And I found myself, if I want to write something, I'll very often just plug in an AirPod and go walk around the block and talk to myself, as opposed to trying to force it pen to paper. Once I create something, put that chunk in a Tology bot, and it's saying, spar with it. What am I missing? What do you think about this? Upload 2 documents and say, compare, contrast. Are these consistent or not? I've done that with a bunch of different dynamics. And sometimes it blows me away. Sometimes just the activity itself sparks something. But the majority of the time, I'm still blown away by how that process is so much more creative than what I would do if I was just trying to make something happen myself. So we're talking a lot about the, getting existing stuff out, a lot of the nuts and bolts, which we want to help with, but I would just encourage that if you're thinking about, want to be creating in a different way, thinking about ways to use this, that'd be another thing that I'd love to share some experiences and encourage, because those have been the real mind blowers. The efficiency is great, but like, oh my God, I created something that wouldn't have happened without this is sort of the magic for me.
Any other questions or ideas or use cases you can think of? He says, I'd love to know more about doing what you're talking about, Evan. So I guess we can.
Yeah, can I do that offline? Can I share contact info, or what's David? Your show, is that the easiest way to do it?
Yeah, sure. We could, Danny. I think we probably can. Oh yeah, there's Danny's email.
Okay. I'll follow up with an email. Thank you.
Beautiful. Any other questions? Thoughts, ideas, concerns, bad jokes? Somebody? No? Good? Hi. Yes, Danny. Cool. Well, going once, going twice. If there's no more questions, then I guess we'll wrap this up.
David, before wrapping up, Kadir, please share the Tology community invitation.
Oh,
link.
yes. Yes.
So let's get everyone there.
Yes, an important thing. So we created a program under the learn.upcoach.com organization, which is the Tology program. Since you're all in upcoach, we can talk upcoach terms. And in this program, we have a little forum where you can exchange ideas and talk about stuff. And there's also where the link is to install Tology inside of your upcoach instance. So go to town, play around, break stuff, let us know what you think and how we can improve it.
The link is in the chat.
Yes, link is in the chat. Beautiful. Awesome. Yeah. Evan, Mehmet, thank you very much. And everybody, all of you guys, thank you for coming and thank you for asking questions and sharing. I'm looking forward to building more cool stuff with you.
Yeah, thanks for making it happen, guys. This was fantastic. Everyone, love to see the questions. Would love to follow up.
Yes, post in the forum and tag Evan. He'll answer, or he'll just like post his Tology bot so you can talk to him.
Yeah, we'll see if you can tell the difference. That'd be brilliant.
Guys.